Welcome to Wise Take DFS podcast. I'm your host, Patio Joe, and I'm joined here today by my two friends, Cam. You can follow him at Twitter at KamG333 and of course the real Slim Gaede. Say what's up, Gaede.
Yo, what's up, bro?
How we doing?
That's how
guys?
we talk out here.
Yeah,
Out on the West Coast.
Now, before you guys, we were trying to do a Gaede impersonation, so I didn't tell them that I was going to lead off with it, but I did this time. I just led off with a Gaede impersonation. I hope I nailed it. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Good. We've had a kind of a lot of laughs before we started here, guys. So thank you for joining us here to the Week 13 kind of first look podcast. Guys, I looked at this. I've done a little bit of research for this slate, more than I have usually before on Wednesday. And I was saying, like, right now, I feel like the lineup build is pay up at quarterback, pay up at receiver, pay down at running back, and put the Jags defense in there, and let's go to war. But that's just my first impression. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at, actually. It's like, get who you want at QB. I got some ideas at running back, but it looks like we've got a lot of value there on all sites. You can probably pay up at least for two receivers. And then, like, I'm kind of with you on the Jags thing. There's only really two defenses that I see that I'm interested in. So, honestly, it seems kind of simple on the first look. I mean, there might be some other things that come along, but I don't know. It doesn't seem as difficult as last week was, for sure.
Yeah, what do you think, Cam?
Yeah, for the most part, for quarterback, I'm working in that 8K range, and then I like a couple high tier receivers as well, but still trying to work on like roster construction. But I'm with you paying up at quarterback for sure.
Yeah, believe it or not, though, I think I'm not going to talk about the value because I think that there's actually like 3 or 4 value options that I'm going to talk about on later on, maybe on the game by game. But there's definitely some value options at quarterback this week. Guys like Blaine Gabbert, Brett Hundley, your boy, Green Bay,
they go,
and Jay Cutler, I think is at 4,700 this week. Tyrod Taylor on DK has got some amazing value. But I'll just start off with quarterback here. But one last thing before we get started here, just a shout out to Wise Take member Rhino _LA. He just signed up today, and he's in like the top 50 in a $4 donkey NBA tournament. In running to win some big money. It's the $4 the whole bunch of MME tournament and stuff like that, and he's in the top 50. So good luck to Rana from LA. You got a good sweat going on, and that goes to show you join the nation. You start winning right away, day one. So that's basketball, guys. As you know, basketball's killing it. There's so much content. I was talking to the guys as I woke up at midnight last night to go to the bathroom, and I turn on my iPad and I see a live show being done on the East Coast, and it's got Cash and Paulie and CK, and they're talking about today's NBA slate. And the Wise Take Nation, we never sleep. I'm telling you, one of us is up at all days of the hour. So if you want to get advice at all times of the hour, I mean, literally, they have a chat room at 3:00 in the morning. People are in the chat. There's nobody in this chat room, and it is 11:50 on the East Coast, and it's 8:50 on the West Coast, and nobody's even watching this. But basketball, there's like 30 people at 4 a.m. watching casual. Hey yo, over there, you got to pick this guy over there. I'm there. Okay, we know that you're here, White 6CK. Okay, of course you got to be there. You're doing this right now. You just called me all CK is doing right now. Until he's waiting until Cash gets off. And then they start again, and they just do this. There it is. Anyways, so let's get back into quarterback, and hopefully people will trickle in. Oh, Stanley, what's up, Stanley? Nice to meet you. Usually it tells you how many people are in the room, and I'm not seeing that this time. So I'm in there too. Okay. So sorry. All right. Anyways, so but before it didn't. Okay, so now I see it says 11 people. Before it said 0 on me. So for you people that are here, I really, really appreciate it. All right, let's start off with quarterback here. I'm going to start off with quarterback. Up top, you got Brady, you got Wilson, you got Wentz, and you got Rivers. For cash, I think you could play all 4 of those guys. Obviously, I know that Gaede's going to say play Brady, and I think Brady's a great option. Last 3 games versus the Bills, he's thrown over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's almost like a 20-point, 25-point base, just an average. And then Russell Wilson, he's got 27 FanDuel points over the last six weeks. And Phillip Rivers has a great matchup, and he's going. He's trending upwards every single week. He's just been getting more and more points. They've been throwing the ball more, figuring that that's more of what their team is. Cam, tell me about the quarterbacks I said. Anybody else you want to talk about, and then we'll throw it to Jason.
Yeah, so I like Russell Wilson a lot. I like both quarterbacks in this game, actually, a lot. They're probably my top 2 quarterbacks. So I'll have to pick between one of those 2 this week. Like you said, Russell's just kind of that whole team, their whole offense. He's going to do everything for them. He can gain yards on the ground as well. So there's pretty much no flaws with him. So I like him a lot, especially the price tag, 8.2K. I can see him getting 24 easily in this game and 3X against Philly. Wentz is the same way. Seattle, they're way better against the run the last 5 weeks, like averaging or giving up at like an average of 2-something yards a carry. So I think Wentz is going to be forced to kind of throw the ball a little bit more. They're going to have to rely on him a little bit. We all know Seattle's banged up in the secondary, losing Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor as well. So I think they'll have to rely on him, and I think he'll get a lot more attempts in this one as they won't be able to run the ball as efficiently. I'm not going to be on Phillip Rivers. I kind of played him in that Thursday Thanksgiving slate, but now I'm going to jump off of him. I don't know. I don't really like playing Phillip at all. I'd rather pay for Wentz or Russell Wilson, and then Cam Newton is also another guy that interests me. I know he has a thumb issue right now, so we'll have to monitor that throughout the week. But he's a guy who can get you 35-point upside in the right matchup. We'll have to see if Marshawn Lattimore and that other guy in the secondary plays this week. And if they do, then I'll be off Cam. But if they don't, I think Cam's another viable tournament option for sure.
Yeah. You talked about Rivers, and I talked about him just because he's been doing well, but you're right. He's at 8,000, and I think he's just a little bit overpriced with who's around him. You'd either really just go down or just go up $200 more and pay for Russell Wilson, where he's going to be a part of every run of every touchdown that's scored. Jason, what do you think? What are you seeing at quarterback this week?
Yeah, I think you guys are right on. I don't see really anything else. If you can pay up for Brady, that's great. But man, he's 1,100 more on FanDuel than anybody else. Like, that's a big disparity, and I don't really care for it too much. Just pay up for Brady in cash. That was actually my impersonation of myself through Joe. Which really wasn't very good, but I was trying to work with that anyways. I tried to get that in there.
You did good.
I think, despite what you were saying, with Wentz and Wilson, I think cash games, I think that Rivers will be the highest owned just because of the matchup and coming off of 400-plus yards. I do like him, but like you said, it's probably better just to go up. Pay the extra 100 to 200 for one of those other guys. Tournaments, I like McCown, Keenum, and even some Bortles in tournaments. Definitely not for cash, though.
Yeah. McCown's an interesting option. He's thrown for, pretty much a base of 200 2 touchdowns and about 250 yards, like the past 7 weeks. So that's a good base of about 17 or 18 points. 2x, it's not bad. You sure to join us on the Wise stream on Saturday to get more of a detailed selection of who we like. Definitely, or read my articles. My article that comes out, the Cash Game article. But yeah, I think that Wilson is probably the play in cash, in my opinion, just because I think they're going to be behind and he's going to have to throw or run or do whatever. And even if they're down by 15 or 20, they're still going to do what they do. And he's never going to give up. So let's move on to running backs. I'm going to start off with you, Jason. Who are you liking at running back this week?
Man, I just for cash games, I can't get off of Kamara. He's RB1, man. He's averaging 26 FanDuel points over the last 4. He's at 8,500, obviously the highest he's ever been, but he's worth every penny of it every week. So I like him a lot. I think people will look at, I mean, honestly, there's not a lot of guys I'm in love with here. Jordan Howard, because of how bad the Niners are, probably good play at home. I still don't like the splits that they get between him and Cohen. The guy that I'm looking at, though, it kind of depends on injury here. I like Kenyon Drake a little bit. Don't love the matchup, but Jamal Williams for the Packers, as we saw this last game against Pittsburgh, just absolutely went off, man. And they ran a lot of stuff through him. They threw him the ball a lot. As long as Jones isn't going to play, I think he might end up being Tevin Coleman from this last week, where he's like 60% owned in cash. I mean, he's at 5.7 on FanDuel. With the kind of workload he just saw, I believe he had 25 touches, 5,700 against a really bad team in Tampa Bay. I mean, that's almost a lock for me. Again, I don't love a whole lot of guys here, so I'm with your original premise of paying down at running back this week, other than Kamara in cash.
You know, I'll tell you what. I think it's a little bit of a like. It's hard for me to pay 8,500 for a guy that only averages about 15 touches a game, and he better do something with that. And that's my problem.
Which does.
I know, but and trust me, I'm the biggest Kamara mark. He is slowly becoming my favorite player in the NFL. I love him. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying he only got 11 touches last game. I mean, that's just amazing. He's not going to do that every week. He can't keep up that pace. That's my point. And then other weeks he's got about 17, 15, 17. He's just so it's just I don't know about. I think you could pay down a little bit more running back. Cam, who are you liking at running back?
So I don't know. I'm having a hard time with Kamara and Ingram. I'm really desperately trying to pick one because I feel like every week one of them goes off. So I'm really trying to like dig in and research who is going to be that guy this week. For some reason, I feel like it's Ingram, just because I have this like theory kind of where when Marshawn Lattimore and their secondary is in the game and they're controlling the game, they're able to run the ball at will. So I think that like if those two guys play again, I think they control the game, and I think Mark Ingram gets a lot of touches, and I think he could have one of those games where he gets 100 and 1 or 2 scores again. But other than that, I like Gurley at the top. You're just paying for pure volume. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league, run blocking wise. And then going down, I'm interested in Jordan Howard against San Francisco, although he hasn't been getting as many carries as he has recently, so I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but the matchup's just really good for him there. Deion Lewis against Buffalo, and Jerick McKinnon interests me a little bit against Atlanta. So I know Atlanta last year was giving up a lot of pass catches to the running back, pass catching running backs. And I think that was more of a result of them kind of getting ahead in games a lot, and teams were always playing from behind. And this year we see that the Falcons haven't really like controlled games or been in the lead at all. So now if Atlanta can keep this kind of hot streak going, if they get ahead of Minnesota a little bit, I could see McKinnon getting a boost in targets and some receptions, and we've seen him all year. Like he can break a screen or two. And then lastly, to touch on Jamal Williams, I don't know if I'll be playing him just because if you watched the game last week, like 14 of his points were off that screen pass that like no one touched for the Steelers, which is just terrible defense. Other than that, if you take that away, he had like 14 points. I don't think he's a bad play, but I just think if you take away that 70-yard screen pass that he took to the house, he had a decent game, but nothing special. So I don't know. It's okay, but I think I'd rather pay up a little bit for a more known commodity.
Yeah, I like what you said about McKinnon. You know, people have looked at his performance and they haven't liked it. And to be honest, he hasn't done very well. But the Falcons give up an average of 6 catches per game to the running back. And that's going to go to McKinnon. That's not going to go to Murray. This game's going to be a little bit more. There's going to be some offense scored, so they might have to pass more. And McKinnon is still getting about 15 touches a game. So I think it's for 6,100. It's not a bad price. For me right now, I'm looking at Alex Collins as a good option, especially a pivot off of Williams. That everybody's going to Williams, and I think Collins is in just as good a spot. He's at home. They're giving him the ball. Obviously, Collins has less competition because people just think Woodhead, they think Devorus Allen, but Collins is the guy that they like, that they're giving the ball more and more, and he's facing a team that is just getting run on ever since Elodi Nada being out. They're just getting run on day and night. I think they're about 30th against the run right now. So I got to say that I like him. Alex Collins as a good pivot. I also think that you got to be looking at as a value right now is Marshawn Lynch with those receivers out like they did last week. They're just going to give him the ball 20 times, give him a couple catches, and if they get down in the goal line, they're going to pound it in with him. And they're facing the Giants. Not like you're playing a great defense who may have given up. They may just revolt and just say, "Screw it, man. We're going to go in Oaktown. We're going to be chilling in the Bay Area Saturday night, partying with some Crevassier and some weed and chilling, just going to give up against the Raiders." Like they don't care. I don't know. I think he's an option.
Man, the Giants have actually played really well the last 2 weeks on defense. So
yeah. I just don't.
That's the only problem for me. Like I see Oakland and I see some of these prices, and I want to attack the Giants, but I think I'm going to have to attack the Giants in tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Another guy I like on DK is Isaiah Crowell, 4,100 against Chargers defense. They give up a lot on the ground. This is a classic. I'll tell you, this is a classic, like overlooked spot. For the Chargers. If there's one thing going for them this week is the Browns won one game last year and it was against the Chargers. So those guys that are on the team, they remember that last year. So I think that I'll be there too, by the way, cheering on the Chargers as they go for a share of first place if the Chiefs lose. So
it's going to be a classic Chargers beat the piss out of the Browns game.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I would really like that. The guys up top, I like McCoy. I think he's going to be involved a lot on Sunday. And I think Fournette is a decent GPP option. I can't play him in cash, but GPP against that defense, if they ever just give him the ball 25 times. The problem that I'm seeing is TJ Yeldon is starting to get a little roll in this offense.
And Bortles.
Yeah, I mean, he ran in 2 last week.
6 carries, and 2 of them 2 of them went in for touchdowns in the red zone. What the?
Yeah, I mean that's not going to happen all the time, but yeah, I see your point. So, let me ask you one. But what about DeMarco Murray against Houston?
No.
All right.
Okay. That was easy.
It was on my list. I don't know.
But I mentioned like a couple guys initially, but the other 2 guys that I left off that are in my player pool list are Alex Collins and Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. Gordon. I like Melvin Gordon too.
I think they're interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm. They're a good price. They give you the options to pay up at other places. So, anyways, let's move on to receiver. And let's see, Cam, you go first this time. Talk to me about the receivers that you really, really like. I got literally I circled 6, and that's who I think I might just play those 6, and that's it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think so. I'll go price wise, but I really like DeAndre Hopkins against Tennessee. It's kind of obvious, but same old, same old. He gets peppered with targets. The market share there in Houston is just weighted so heavily towards him. So I think his floor is really high, and then we've also seen a ceiling game. So I don't see a problem playing him at all. I think he's worth the 8K. And then probably my second favorite receiver is going to be Devontae Adams against Tampa Bay. I've written him up the last 3 weeks in my article. This guy's people might not know but I watch the Packer games every single week, and Huntley loves this guy. He throws to him all the time. 10, yeah, exactly.
They're just they're just doing it. It's just
10-8, 10-8, just all the time. 17, 16, 16 FanDuel points. It's his favorite target. And he's still priced the Packers. He's priced like a Packer is. So he's 6.5. I love the price. I love that play. I think he has a really safe floor, and I'll be playing him a lot this weekend. Another guy, kind of obvious here, is Adam Thielen. Marcus Trufant is going to be on Diggs on the outside, I believe. And then that leaves Thielen in the slot once again to just wreak havoc on whoever he's going to be going up against. Him and Keenum have a really good rapport together, and I can't see Thielen not paying off his price again. I guess going down a little bit, let's see here who I got. I mean, there's a lot of receivers that I like at the high end, like Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks if Hogan misses. There's just a bunch of guys, but I would like to say I think cheaper, 2 cheap guys that are interesting to me would be Zay Jones for Buffalo. He's min price on FanDuel, and he's been getting insane amount of market share of their targets and over 50% of their air yards.
And he's not doing anything with them though. That's the problem.
Well, he's min price, and he's gotten 2x the last 3 weeks. So
you're right.
If I can get that out of him, which allows me to pay for guys like Wentz, Gurley, and a couple top tier receivers, I'll take that and make the other 1x up elsewhere. And then another weird kind of thing that's just popping out to me throughout my research process is Paul Richardson for Seattle. Don't really know why. He's just a guy that's there. That's just kind of what I go through, and I don't know why, but thought I'd mention it.
All right. I mean, you mentioned a couple guys that are on my list. I think I got 6 receivers this week that I'm going to play right now. Now, I'll probably be swayed to play more, but I got DeAndre Hopkins as my number 1 play this week, especially for cash. It's he's shown that he is just matchup proof. They're going to get him targets. It doesn't matter if he doesn't get in the end zone. He's going to go 10 for 160 or whatever, and he goes fine, and he's still underpriced at 8K.
Yeah.
Then Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen too. He's on my list. I begrudgingly put him on there thinking that McCourty's going to be on him, but then I realized that Allen does most of his work from the slot. McCourty doesn't go into the slot, and he's just been getting so much work the past 3 weeks that, especially when in a week where you don't have, AB and you don't have AJ Green, and I think we're all 3 of us are smart enough to fade Julio this week, especially after what he did last week, and especially after facing Xavier Rhodes. That you just don't want to play Julio this week. But my other guys on my list, Robbie Anderson, of course, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, who I think is going to be a lot of targets. We got Peterson's going to be on Watkins, so Cooper Kupp. And then the guy I'm going to talk about I really, really like is Mike Evans. If you look at this, I'm going to read you this these stats right here. I took a picture of it earlier today, and it's high-end wide receivers versus the Packers this year. Julio Jones, 5 receptions for 108 yards. A.J. Green, 10 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown. Dez Bryant, even Dez, 5 for 52 and a touchdown. Adam Thielen, 9 for 97. Marvin Jones, 7 for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Antonio Brown, 10 for 169 and 2. Mike Evans is next. So
I think Mike Evans is more of like a Dez Bryant. So I could see 5 for 52 and a touchdown, but I hate Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is really bad this year.
But 5 for 52 and a touchdown is 2x. I mean, and that's a low. That's not, and he could be somewhere in the middle of that too. So
I know he's just so expensive.
7,500 is not that bad for Mike Evans.
Yeah,
talent,
but there's other guys up there there's other guys up there, man, that you can pay for that are going to be way better than him, I think. Tampa Bay just lost their left tackle and center, and they're going to be starting Jameis Winston again.
Yay.
Coming off that shoulder injury. I don't know. We'll get to it later, but I kind of like the Packers defense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, but anyways, there's not that many other receivers that I'm really into. I think also you could take a flyer on Tyrell Williams this week. Gaede, what you got at receiver?
All right. Now, you may have heard some of this shit already, but I got Hopkins. Like, when I was putting in dummy lines on FanDuel, it's like I just started my line with Hopkins. I don't care if it's cash. I don't care if it's tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they literally said on the game the other night that Bill O'Brien tells his quarterbacks, like, if you see single coverage or if you get in trouble, just throw them the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the targets are going to be there like 10, 9, 14, 16, and 11 the last 5 games. So, his worst game on FanDuel the last 5 is 15 points. So we're going to take that. Thielen is my second guy. It's just going to be too good of a matchup for him. I think that's going to end up being kind of a high-scoring game. And Thielen's awesome every week. The other guy had Cash, obviously Devontae Adams. His price is just way too low for his volume on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Robbie Anderson, 5 straight games with a touchdown. The Chiefs are really bad against wide receiver 1. Keenan Allen, obviously. 27 targets, 23 catches, 62 FanDuel points the last 2 games. Insane. Rivers is feeding them. I don't think the McCourty thing is going to be a problem, but it could be. But like you said, I mean, he's in the slot most of the time, so I need to do a little more research on that. And I also, sorry, Cam, but I got Mike Evans on my list also.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's down on him, but the Packers get blown up by big-time receivers, as you know, Cam. And everybody's down on him, but he's still got 22 targets the last 2 games. So it'll be interesting with Jameis back, but more of a tournament play. But that's actually everybody that you guys had already mentioned. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I got to say, what did I say?
Hearing the same shit 3 times.
But I said there's about 6 guys you play this week, and that's what we named. The only guy that I didn't mention, that I didn't have circled, was Thielen, and I could totally agree with everything you guys are saying. I mean, he should be circled too. But yeah, it's not that. I could totally see that. So let's move to tight end. Let's see. To this week, I love Hunter Henry. I know that he's been somewhat up and down, but I still love him even for cash. And that might be a little bit of a hotter take, but he's 5,400. So even if he only has a few catches, I don't think it's going to kill you. I think if you even wanted in a tournament, if you wanted to play Antonio Gates, I think you could play him. I think he might get his last touchdown of his career on Sunday. It's quite possible. They've been featuring him in the red zone when they get close to there, so I could see that happening. Other guys I like, just the basics: Gronk, Jimmy Graham if he plays, and Jared Cook. They're facing the Giants. I'm still, just because they shut down Vernon Davis for one game, I still think that they're terrible. So I will take Jared Cook against, possibly because he's one of the only few options too, if Cooper and Crabtree are going to be out. So Cam, or no, let's go Jason. Jason, who do you want? Who do you like at tight end?
God damn, I wish I had something different to say, but I got Henry number one. Cleveland gets torched by tight ends. I mean, we know Rivers is going to be throwing it all over the place, and he's 5'4" on FanDuel. I mean, he's so cheap. Easy touchdown for him this week. Jared Cook was next on my list. He's playing the Giants. Pretty obvious. I also like Kyle Rudolph if you're going to go up a little bit at 6K. He's a huge red zone target if you watch the game on Thursday. 2 touchdowns, but Atlanta struggles against tight ends. I don't know that I want to pay 6K for him because he doesn't get a ton of volume. It's more red zone. I mean, I'm not paying up for the big guys this week, so those are the only guys I'm really looking at mid-tier.
Yeah, I mean, Gronk has had some good history against the Bills, so I think if you wanted to pair him with Brady, I could see you doing that too. Cam, we all know you got a tight end. Who do you like?
So I'll be sitting in Jimmy Graham territory, or Hunter Henry more than likely, and then if you really want to take like a flyer kind of, there's that Ricky Seals-Jones guy who's caught 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Obviously him and Blake Bortles have something going on there. So, I mean, you can't really ignore that. Like 3 touchdowns right away once Blake Bortles is in there. So I think that's an interesting play. I think you could probably like stack Bortles and Seals-Jones and kind of maximize.
You mean Gabbert?
Yeah. I keep saying Bortles because they both suck.
Yeah.
And then Jack Doyle is my last guy probably that I would go with. He's been getting a lot of targets there, and I look for that for tight ends.
All right, for sure. Okay, let's see. If you guys have any questions in the chat, hit us up because we're flying through this this today. Let's move on to defense. It's real simple. Jags defense of the Chargers, I think. You might have a little bit of difference, but start with the Jags.
I got a lot on this, man. Let me go first.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I got nothing. I got Jags, Chargers. Those are the only 2 I got. Just figure it out. Yeah. Figure out a way to play one of them. Yeah. Done.
Cam, what do you got?
Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay.
What about the Raiders?
Okay, is that a joke?
Yeah, they were. I liked them at first. I figured they'd be at the bottom though. They'd be super cheap, but they're really not. I mean, 4,600's okay, but
yeah, no, I see that. I
mean,
they just don't get interceptions. That's a problem.
Yeah, they just don't get turnovers. I mean, they're not going to give you where are those points going to come from.
Geno could fumble.
Just play the Jags, and if you can't, then just go down to the Chargers, and I think you'll get easy 3x out of both of those. I can't really see why you wouldn't, but.
Yeah. What about? Okay. Here's. Let me ask you this. This is just conversation talking point. Lattimore and the other cornerbacks back. I like the Saints D. I think Cam busts if that happens.
Yeah, 46.
Lattimore's back.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah,
Cam's struggling to throw the ball. I mean, if you actually watch the games and look at his numbers, he's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
If he has that thumb issue, if that's like a lingering problem throughout the week, I would definitely jump on that, especially if Lattimore and that safety is back, because we all know if Cam doesn't feel 100%, he's kind of a prima donna and makes one bad throw, it could just all collapse there. And Marshawn Lattimore is a heck of a talent, so I like that for sure.
Two others I'll name just because of the struggles of the offense. Houston Texans, Mariota has looked like shit. I don't see why they couldn't. Cushing is back this week. And the New York Jets at home against the struggling Chiefs.
Yeah, I was looking at the Jets earlier too. I mean, they're one of those teams, they don't do a whole lot. But you can see with the Chiefs' offensive line struggling so badly, you can see them getting a couple sacks, 3-4 sacks in the game, and the Chiefs can't score. So, I mean, you might be able to get double-digit points there. I like that one.
Yeah.
Not at all on Houston. No chance in hell I'll ever play them, no matter who they're playing.
All right.
But Mario
just thrown out there, maybe.
Right. He's just throwing picks to everybody, though.
Yeah, and the Cardinals D at 4,300 against the Rams. Just talking.
So you guys have no interest in the Packers?
No, I could see that. No. I could totally.
It's like I'm gonna come back to it eventually.
No, you said it. Yeah, they're like 30. But yeah, no. The Packers D against with you said no left tackle and no center. That I like. No Doug Martin, which might be an improvement, but I like it. I don't see why not. They played decent last week. Does anybody know what happened to the Steelers defense last week? Anybody? I'm still trying to figure that out.
They ran into Brent Huntley and Jamal Williams, man.
That's right. Always with your heart. There you go. Kickers, why not? Because we finished really quick. Kickers. Zerline, Gostkowski, Lutz. Love me some Lutz this week. Let's see who else.
High scoring game.
Horvath.
In a dome or in good weather. Simple.
Horvath, Bryant.
Anybody at the bottom?
See anybody at the bottom? Phil Dawson. That's in a dome. Zerline. So fit it in where you can. There's some good options. Is there any questions here in the chat? Anybody have any questions? Jared Cook is in a good spot, but he's atrocious. Yes. Patio Joe sounds like Bill Bennett, political guy. Does anybody know who that is?
Sounds familiar.
I've heard that I sound like people have told me I sound like Seth Rogen.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I have a deep voice and stuff. So,
I can see that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stanley, I'm going to take that as a compliment because I'm not very political. I don't know who Bill Bennett is, but thank you. I believe that I'm going to take it as a compliment. That's what I'm going to take it as. He hasn't been accused of sexual harassment yet, so we'll wake up tomorrow. There'll be somebody else. Somebody said something. They're like, I know somebody from NBC that's committed sexual harassment. He had a show. It was called The Apprentice. It's funny. It's kind of funny.
That's awesome.
It's so funny. I know. So funny. And I'm not even really. The funny thing is that political wise, I'm not anti-Trump or pro-Trump. I'm just like pro-America, where it's like, well, this guy's our quarterback. If he screws up, our organization kind of is in the dumps for the next 4 or 5 years. So I'd rather have him do good so our country does well. But that's just me. Conservative guy. He liked to lose at poker. I'm conservative, I guess. But you ain't met Audie. Audie's not conservative, that's for sure. CK in the back. Can we get an update on our man Ryan _LA, how he's doing? Is he doing all right in that tournament, or what's going on? No idea. He's got no idea. That's our man CK in the back. He's just doing this.
We'll get you that update tomorrow or at 3:00 in the morning or whatever.
Yes, he's ready. He's ready. Yes, the NBA live stream podcast is next on YouTube, so you'll be able to wake up
and
It is seriously. I mean, I wake up every morning and there's these comments about something that Cash did. It's just great. Any other questions here, guys?
Those guys love Cash, man. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. He's very. It's just great when you see our personalities come out. Is Josh Gordon a punt play?
No.
For GPPs? No, I don't think so. I think Casey Hayward will be back this week. And okay, let me ask you this. I mean, Cam, how old are you? You're 22 or 23? 14? What? 22? Okay.
Wow.
14. So 22. So that means like when you were 19. Okay. So you maybe are doing things a little bit better at 22 than you were at 19. I hope you are, for your girl's sake. But Jason, I was not as good 3 years ago as now as I was 3 years ago. I don't care who Josh Gordon is. Okay, he was 3 years ago. All right, like
as good. You weren't as good at what exactly?
I mean, I was really, really good at. I could see my speed. I used to be, believe it or not, for a guy my size, I was pretty fast. And in the past, like maybe year.
What are we talking about right now?
Are we talking about?
I'm just talking about Josh Gordon and how, like, after 3 years, I don't care. You take 3 years. You take 3 years off from a sport. There's no way you're going to be as good. That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about like girls and stuff, and then you said.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought where we were going with this. Like, it's getting late at night.
You're
that's
like,
where
I'm really fast now. I'm like, okay.
I mean, hey, I think that's just a natural thing, Joe. I mean, I'm pretty old too, man. So I feel you. Like, I'm tired. I just want it to be over. Like, I enjoy it. I want it to be over. If I get 5 or 6 minutes in, I'm good. And then I can go to sleep. I feel you, bro.
I know. So I'm just saying, like, when 3 years go by, like, you're not going to be as good as you were. I don't care. It's just,
like Cam's got 3 or 4 hours in him.
Yeah.
I got like 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, it's cool.
I know. The wind blows wrong and Cam's ready to go. So anyways, guys, any other questions here? Kamara goes ham. Kamara, I could see that. Yeah, of course. All right, guys. It's been fun. Be sure to join. I think it's going to be CK, Paulie D, and Cash, at least, as well as Johnny, on the Y stream on Saturday. If you're a premium member, be sure to be looking for the After Hours with Audie this week with me and Paulie D, with a game-by-game preview of NFL Week 13. So for my man Cam, you can follow him on Twitter at KamG333 My man Slim Gaede, you can follow him at The Real Slim Gaede. And me, you can follow me at Patio Joe Ref. For the Wise Take Nation, we are out.
Yeah.